everyone. Welcome back to IT Horror Stories with Jack Smith. I am Jack Smith, and this time across the table, I am joined by Philip. Good evening, sir.
Hi, good evening.
How are you doing?
Pretty well, things as usual. So
Well, looking at the story you brought, things as usual does not sound really motivating.
yeah, it's been a wild ride.
Yeah, because we did the DevOps Royale with Cheese episode 8, and we did then the Shadow IT Reports episode 9 a few months ago, and you basically came up with something similar but yet very different.
Yeah. So,
That I did want to throw in here because the original plan was to, let's do more about Shadow IT because it is so broad, and even I didn't see this one coming. So I am going to give you the microphone. I am going to jump in left and right wherever I can, and I think I can be interesting, which is every 5 seconds. Everybody be warned. The microphone, Sir Philip, is yours.
Okay, so to give you some backstory, I was working as a subcontractor for a telco. It was, you could say, a pretty big name around these parts.
Okay.
But the company I worked for was basically a subcontractor for them, and the reality was that was more of a, we're a telecommunications company, yeehaw.
So if you say a subcontractor, is it like an entire service provider, as in we'll take care of your help desk, we'll take care of your field services?
It was mostly field services. So we didn't have anything to do with end user of said telco company, but it was more of the installation of the infrastructure and things like that.
So I am now confused, and I have questions about you guys, maybe not you yourself. You were going out on the street in setting up, say, the infrastructure, so the modems, and you don't deal with the end user. How did you manage that?
Well, it was the backend infrastructure. So
Yeah.
So the end users, to be fair, they have subcontractors for that as well. But
I see. Yeah. So you were doing services for a different contractor that dealt with the end users.
Yes, exactly.
Isn't the wonderful world of outsourcing overly needlessly complicated?
Oh, it's overly needlessly complicated by design, and I think they really want to keep it that way.
So wonderful framing in complexity.
Yeah.
Please go on.
This particular subcontractor was what I like to call cowboy IT. So I think that's a phrase that your listeners might be familiar with.
Well, I'm familiar with it, So you're basically shooting IT from the hip.
Yeah, basically that kind of sums
What could
it up.
go wrong?
Yeah, exactly. There was this particular, I think it was a Tuesday or a Wednesday. I don't remember that in detail, but.
Mm-hmm.
But I came in the morning as usual,
motivated and everything.
I went to the coffee machine, got my coffee to start the day properly, and then I noticed that a lot of the help desk people were pretty frantic. I think about half an hour after I arrived, there were some murmurs of, there's a problem with the platform. So
the platform,
quote unquote, the platform. So about half an hour after I started, because that was also the time that the field engineers would be.
Oh yeah, so you would come in early, and then once they get to the first on-site customer, you're there just in case.
Yes, exactly. So,
okay, and then poof.
It was getting a bit more busy than usual. They got a lot of calls, a bit more than they usually get. Mm-hmm. They do get a lot of calls usually, but this time it was a lot different. I heard some of the help desk engineers say, "Oh yeah, but the platform is down," and then another one responding, "But no, it's not down. It's always this slow. They just need to be patient and blah blah blah." The fact that it was slow is important, so keep that in mind. But they were saying, "Yeah, it can be down. It was working perfectly yesterday."
And nothing changed.
So,
of course, nothing changed.
Famous last words, obviously.
Well, at least you're not updating in production on a Friday, so at least it was on a Monday then.
Yeah, exactly.
I see no problem. I see no further problem.
That's kind of the advantage of being in a cowboy IT environment. Mm-hmm. They kind of learned their lesson in a way that they shouldn't update things on Friday, especially not when there's happy hour on Friday. So
Priorities,
exactly. So
lovely.
It started to get more busy. A lot more calls were coming in, and there were a lot of people saying, "But yeah, it is down, and this is a disaster," and blah blah blah, as one does. Now, to give you some context, the platform they were talking about was a ticketing application for the field engineers. So basically, there were about 200 field engineers, and they would log into this specific application.
Okay.
It was basically to follow up on their work. So if they had to do an installation, they would do the logging in there. They would get their tickets there to start the work, and
Yeah.
usual.
So basically, their entire day planning was in there.
Yes, basically
Okay,
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine if that's not reachable, it's not going to be a good day.
Yeah, you could say that it was fairly quote unquote business critical. They were used to it being slow in the sense that slow, I don't know if your listeners are of the age that they were still using 56K modems, but you can kind of compare it with that.
Our beloved statistics on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Music confirm the age bracket. So yes, we know.
So you can imagine about 2 or 3 minutes per page refresh. That wasn't out of the ordinary.
That's not even 56K modem. That is male pigeon speed.
Yes, exactly. Actually, I think there was this study that pigeons might have been faster, actually, but...
Why does my brain now goes to avian carrier networks over Trebuchet?
Yes, exactly. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh yes, we have discussed this multiple times.
It was even that bad some days, so that you could almost prepare a full English back.
And then it's logical that they tell you, oh, just wait a few minutes, it'll get there.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess we're going to come back to this, but I don't want to know the hardware platform or the setup or the whatever, because too many questions now, and we are not in a cert call at the moment, so I'm not going to care yet.
Yeah. You could say that it would be surprising for a telco company to have a setup like this, but more on that later.
We have mentioned mainframes in a few episodes, so I'm ready for most of things. Like, not sure that I want to talk about a VAX or a WANG, but...
This time, instead of just it being slow, there were some people that were getting Nginx pages. So they were getting, for those familiar with Nginx, it's you can use it as proxy. So that means that you can get error pages from Nginx itself.
Yep.
So you can get 404s and 504s from Nginx. It's not just a normal browser saying this page cannot be found. It's
something in the middle says whatever I need to talk to is not there.
Yeah, this endpoint that doesn't exist, please investigate.
So it's going to be something else.
Yeah, exactly.
Whoopsie daisy.
Yeah, so you can imagine that the project manager on duty was kind of sweating bullets and having an aneurysm, probably on the verge of starting with a drinking problem, but you can imagine the chaos that was ensuing at that point. So,
wonderful day.
Yeah, exactly. So just a regular Tuesday or not. So we tried pinpointing the issue. The help desk people were frantically running around like headless chickens at that point.
Mm-hmm.
A junior, I remember very well, was completely panicking, saying that, I can't even ping the machine. It's not reachable. I don't know what's going on. Another one was frantically tapping his keyboard, trying to find out from the logs from the Nginx machine what was going on, and basic troubleshooting steps, but things weren't going that well. Kind of an understatement.
Yeah, well, you have described headless chickens, so that basically everybody is doing something and there's zero coordination going on.
Yes, exactly. So, of course, I was there as a contractor, so
you tend to shut up.
I tend to shut up.
I just want to see the world burn, and if something comes to me, I'll give my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. But even at some point, it was like, okay, this is just getting too much. Now, mind you, I wasn't fully aware of their infrastructure because, as said, not my job.
You're there to do one thing, not manage the infrastructure.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I was more of the development side at that point, so I was just working on my stuff locally, so whatever, they'll solve it, I guess, at some point.
Yeah, and at the server, it is not your problem as such. You're not impacted. But can I take an estimated guess here to what you've mentioned already? Nginx says, I can't reach the machine. Somewhere, someone found out the internal IP and said, well, it's not responding.
Yes.
if you're still running around like a bunch of headless chickens after that point, instead of trying to find out where utopic idea your documentation says that IP address is located,
Yeah, so
you can stop running around the chicken coop.
yeah.
There's your root cause, the IP is down, and then why it is down, well, let's go put on your data helmet and let's go digging.
Yes, exactly. Now, to be fair, those help deskers, they were not really on the operations side of things, so it was just the go in between.
It's the help desk guys. They don't know how the backend works. They know the tool, they know their pages, and that's all what their pay bracket is there for. So absolutely nothing against the help desk guys.
We choose not to have any subscription model nor sponsoring in order to keep our stories accessible for each and everyone. To support us, please check our merchandise at shop.ithorrorstories.eu or buy us a coffee at ko-fi.com/ithorrorstories.
Yeah, exactly. So I can imagine them not being, oh yeah, we need to check the server itself and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, no. Usually you would go to the application owner now and say, hey, your thing is down. And then in your escalation matrix, you can find this person's contact details and hope he's not on vacation for 3 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. Or create a priority 1 ticket and throw it up the chain, basically. So
if you can't find anyone, you escalate up and maybe somebody knows someone indeed.
Yeah. Of course, I was in the emergency meeting and I kind of saw things unfold, and then being a little bit proactive, I was like, yeah, but where is this machine located? Is it cloud hosted? Is it in a data center somewhere? And then one of the other DevOps people said, oh yeah, but this particular server is in our data center. And I was like, okay, sure, but that's kind of my question. Where is this data center located? Because if you can't ping the machine, then something is wrong there. Apparently, the data center was local in the sense that it was in the same building.
Oh, that's a good one.
It was basically the next room over from where we were sitting.
This is going too easy.
As you can imagine, I was already half intrigued, half horrified. So I suggested let's have a look at that machine. Are we able to access that room? Is there a possibility that we can just go there and have a look with our own eyes what's going on? And
are the blinking lights still blinking would be your first check. Is there something? Yeah, indeed.
The project manager was, that's not a bad idea. And I was like, yeah, okay, I sometimes have those. So we went to investigate on how to access that room because it's like a broom closet. So, I mean, we're looking for the key for this specific room. And that was a point where we went to the receptionist, our dearest Linda, the gatekeeper, high priestess of the key cabinet.
I know the type.
Yeah. So after a difficult and perilous search through the drawer of Mistery, she emerged victorious with a small and unassuming metallic key. We managed to get into the quote-unquote data center. So no keypad, no badge to enter.
Security through obscurity. You'll never guess that this holds a data room.
Yeah, exactly. And
lovely.
The only thing stopping you from entering was basically just Linda, wielder of the one key to rule them all. So, we entered this so-called data center. Yeah. Now, at this point, obviously, I wasn't expecting any biometric scanners or high-level security detail.
We have passed this level.
Yes.
Of,
exactly. So, but when we entered this specific room, it was honestly even worse than I expected. So my expectations were already low, but let's just say that we entered that room and instead of a data center, we found ourselves in a glorified storage closet with commitment issues.
Okay, so how many people were on the floor usually? So are you talking 20, 50, 100 people?
This was not the main office of this specific telco, obviously. At any given time, I would say about maybe 30 people.
Okay, yeah. So 30 people would put you into the thing of, unless there's a security audit coming up, we're not gonna do anything with the data room and just forget it exists.
Yes, basically that.
Yeah,
So,
and then if you get an audit, you will you put up some plywood walls, you put in a door and say, well, it's separated now.
yeah. So this is officially a storage closet now. Here's a broom, here's a bucket,
Yeah, and here's but were the machines in a rack?
Yes. Funnily enough, they did have two small, I want to say 42U racks there.
42 is full size.
They were filled with a lot of hardware. I'll get back to that later. But, well, let's just say that there were still some machines in business there that were old enough to have a driver's license. So
What you often see is a machine or a service will get decommissioned, but then they forget the machine and it's left powered on, screaming for NT4 Service Pack 6 updates.
yes,
In the distance with 2 of the 3 RAID disks in error. So lots of screaming from piezo speakers going on.
yeah, it's bad when the servers look like they've seen things.
I can imagine the range of compact servers in front of me
Yeah, you're
that have seen things, yes.
Yeah, you're not far off. So,
No.
I mean, a couple of them were still blinking away, but like in that I'm trying my best, please let me retire kind of way.
Somebody shoot me.
Somebody shoot me, exactly. So we went ahead and fans groaning left and right aside. We went to investigate the machine that was allegedly running this specific application. So.
Allegedly.
But of course, yeah, my hopes of it still being up and running were lower than the remaining warranty of any machine in that room. So you can kind of imagine the situation at this point.
Yeah, when you enter the room, you see all the old hardware and you see more red than green lights blinking, running, and finally the RAID container died or the thing just gave up and is now blue screened or kernel panicked, whatever platform you're using. Did you pray to Saint Rebootius?
To be honest, I think if you would reboot any of those machines, they wouldn't start up anymore. So even praying to Saint Rebootius at that point would be proven useless, I suppose.
Well, okay. So that wasn't done. What was next?
Well, next we were trying to locate this specific machines. And honestly, I was surprised that those machines were labeled at all, seeing at the state of things. But I think we've been looking for like an hour or so. Meanwhile, help desk still frantically running around like headless chickens. But nothing in the rack really matched at what we were looking for.
Oh yeah, because you had an IP address, therefore you hopefully had a DNS name.
Yeah.
And then we are looking for SRV005.
Exactly. So we were basically checking the labels at this point, but the one that we had on file, spoiler alert, the file that I'm referring to was basically an Excel sheet that was on some local share, hosted somewhere. So, but we couldn't really find it.
Oh, we've had discussions here in previous episodes where we would have given a lot of money for a basic Excel sheet somewhere. So that's okay.
Okay, so yeah, that was one thing that they kind of did okayish.
Nice.
We were staring at a rack full of cobwebs, ancient hardware, a lot of cable spaghetti and sadness, and I just happened to stare closer into a suspicious opening about the size of 2 units tall. So the server that it was supposedly running on was missing in action, as in it was gone. Instead, what I saw was just the saddest pair of cables that I've ever seen in a quote-unquote professional environment.
A VGA, a PS2, and a power cable.
Oh, no, not even that.
Oh dear.
What I saw there was a patch cable. So,
So far, nothing unexpected.
and the other cable that I saw there was a micro USB cable. Just
Okay,
chilling
and?
there. That's it.
Okay, awkward silence moment. Micro USB, USB-C, USB-A. Because if it was USB-C, it could have been a laptop.
No, it wasn't USB-C, and this was pre-USB-C laptop charger days.
Oh dear.
Yes.
Please don't tell me that they did that.
Yeah, I think you can kind of see where this is going. So eventually the cat came crawling out of the bag. And keep in mind, this was around the time that things like home automation and stuff like that, and tinkering with hardware was getting popular. So apparently one of the engineers, bless his enthusiasm, had taken the machine that was connected to their home to experiment and play around with. So it was basically running on a Raspberry Pi.
This poses many questions, but also gives a lot of answers.
Yes.
As to why it was going so slow.
Yes, exactly. It was just a basic Raspberry Pi. I think it was one of the first models even that was running the ticketing system, which was needed for about 200 field engineers, where they logged in every single day to get to their tickets.
So if I understand correctly, you had 200 engineers on a first, second generation Raspberry Pi doing your ticketing for all your field services.
Yeah, pretty much. So I think the thing that actually saved the fact that it was under this kind of load was the Nginx proxy.
Doing the caching.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
So at least that's my assumption for now, because I don't know the exact details of that setup, but
sounds very plausible nonetheless.
Yeah. Nothing says production-grade infrastructure hosting an app for 200 field engineers like a 35 euro hobby board normally used to teach kids Python.
This podcast features Jack Smith and guests. We say thank you to our demo scene friends who helped making this podcast possible. Commander Homer for editing, Danko for music and audio advice, NetPoet for additional voiceovers.
To be fair, that engineer also assumed that no one would be insane enough to go from test deployment on a Pi to production because it works.
Mm-hmm.
I can't be too upset at that specific engineer, to be honest.
Well, you don't know who set it live there. It could be the engineer, could be someone else that says, oh, this was made in test, it works, let's just push it out and we'll move it later.
Yeah, exactly.
So finding the guilty person for this will be a different endeavor.
Yeah, I think there's better use of your time than trying to figure out what exactly...
As we have mentioned a few times in episode 10, when Anonymous attacks on the DDoSes, your focus is to get back online and not to finger point in a period of crisis.
Yep.
So yeah, indeed, starting to point fingers during your emergency meetings and trying to already throw people under the bus. Wrong place, wrong time. Let's get your 200 field guys back online.
Yep.
Now, going on a ledge here because it's a Raspberry Pi, do I have to wish for a backup? Because the storage went with the device.
Yeah, so funny thing about that is that we were kind of just in time, I think, to get the SD card. Yes, the SD cards back. So it's really fun to run a SQLite database on an SD card.
So you found the actual SD card?
Yes.
Where?
So the engineer was like, oh yeah, I because that's how we found out that the engineer took it home is like...
Oh, so the guy that took it home was still there?
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah, like I said, cowboy IT. I mean, it's
yeah. This calls for a yippee-ki-yay.
Yeah, exactly. So yeehaw and let's go. But we got the SD card back, which thankfully wasn't formatted. That specific engineer was like, I'm just going to use a different SD card, just in case. So again, the guy wasn't incompetent or anything like that, but it's...
Oh, no. It's like, oh yeah, this is my old test Raspberry Pi. I'll just take it out and put it back in the drawer. And I have a bigger SD card for it now, so I'll just take out the old one.
Yeah, pretty much that. So
oh dear.
We got that SD card back. Of course, I do not want to know the write cycles on that thing, especially since it's a SQLite database.
Well, yes.
And then we ended up migrating the app to a dedicated VM with backups this time.
Okay.
And Postgres database, like a real life grown up application on an actual ESX server that stayed in the building. The funny thing is that we also managed to convince finance to fork over the cash for a semi-decent box to migrate all the other legacy applications to. The poor hardware that was running there for over 25 years could finally be put to rest.
The atypical scenario of no, it's all okay, it's fine, we don't need a maintenance contract, and then when things go poof,
yeah,
suddenly everything is possible because they do realize that, this is useful.
yes, exactly. So it's an FAFO moment, kind of. So, and that's basically how it went. As far as I know, I think this specific application is still running unless they move to something completely different. But when I left there, it was running happily on that new machine. So.
Well, as long as the guy who maintains it is still there or is reachable, I can imagine that indeed it is going to be still in use. And, well, as you also move to more powerful hardware, did the field engineers come back with, wow, this is now going so blazingly fast?
Yeah, I think they had some very good feedback when it came to the speed of the application. So I'm pretty sure that the field engineers were happy at that point. So.
Yeah, I'm now wondering as to people listening suddenly realizing, oh crap, we have a Raspberry Pi in the data center. And now it's okay because I've used them as well for a network probe or logging that you just plug it into the network and you plug it into a switch port where you give all the VLANs that you can do tracking for performance and everything and just some logging. That's perfectly fine. And even, if you want to test something out quickly and you have something specifically with the later Pi 3s and 4s, they're okay-ish to do that, but you should never run that into production. Although I see many social media posts and YouTubes on, I made myself a Raspberry Pi file server cluster with some additional boards where you then put SSDs on it or similar. I'm not sure that is a good idea, although yes, it has more CPU power than your average Synology.
Yeah, and there have been some issues with Synology lately as well, to give an example, but that's a completely different story, of course.
I am an avid Synology user myself. Yes, it is not perfect, but it is as idiot-proof that I can work with it.
Fair enough.
So to jump back on the Raspberry Pi, okay, it happened. It was resolved.
Yes.
But again, only when things went poof.
Yeah. Always take precautions before it's too late.
Well, and this is, as I mentioned it earlier, having been in, well, not with subcontractors, but when you're doing M&A, merger and acquisition, you also analyze the local data center. Is it a closet? Is it a cabinet? Is it secure? Is there air conditioning? Is there a backup? And very often you come back with no. It's only when you're starting to get into a few hundred people organization that there is time and budget for that. Otherwise, you start out with a company, 5 people, 10 people, and it grows organically. And you end up with this spaghetti and old servers standing there waiting to be shut down, which never happens until somebody comes up and cleans up, or until something goes really, really bad, as this was the case. Here, well, if I want to not blame, but if I would have been the guy writing the report here, question would be, okay, why hasn't this been noticed? Why didn't the telco that this subcontractor was working for perform an audit of its subcontractor's IT systems to ensure that their other subcontractor had their application available when it needed to be? And you find that out the moment you do a site visit and you see your data room guarded by Linda, the keymaster. That is one big red flag that needs to be addressed, and that didn't happen or wasn't picked up. In my experience, what usually happens here.
If your quote-unquote data center is a glorified storage room with a matching broomstick and bucket, and it can be opened with a key from a filing cabinet that's straight from the 90s. And
we've had in, was it episode 5, Paris Rooftops? We had network going out because exactly in the maintenance cabinet, the cleaning crew would unplug the switch for the mopping machine of the floor and then plug it back in. So yes, this is what happens.
Unfortunately, that's what you're saying now is something that I've heard way too much before. So.
Wait until you've lived through it.
Yeah.
A few times.
For the love of God, don't host production applications on a Raspberry Pi. I mean, like you said, they're good for like monitoring and stuff like that. And I actually use one at home for a headless server that I'm running, which I use as a VNC server if it's completely down.
Oh, like a jump host.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
Fine.
So for those things, perfectly fine, even for things like home automation, but that's in a home setting, not...
I've got a few Raspberry Pis left and right on customer locations where they're being exactly used as a jump host with a VPN server on it.
Yeah.
So that if need be, it will save you a 2-hour drive to walk in and restart the service.
Yeah.
So yes, that's what they're ideal for.
Yeah.
And give your guys a checklist once every month, log in, do get update,
Yes.
so that everything is patched and everything, and then you're okay. Of course, not in enterprises, but small businesses, no problem. It works. Everything is better than a mini tower case under a desk.
Yeah.
Of Linda.
Exactly. So.
Good, Philip and Linda, thank you for your input and sharing everything here.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
Absolutely a pleasure having you here. So this has been IT Horror Stories with Jack Smith. As always, you can find us on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Deezer, and wherever you find your podcast. New episodes at least once a month. We have merchandise. You can find the merch at shop.ithorrorstories.eu or support us via Ko-fi. If you are in the US, you can change your shop region at the bottom of the page. We have social media, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, Blue Sky, and Mastodon, and all other links are on our website, ithorrorstories.eu. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, and don't forget, you're one of us. Bye-bye.
The content of this podcast is intended for entertainment purposes only and is meant to humorously explore various tech-related situations. Any resemblance to actual events or real persons, living or dead, is purely coincidental. We ridicule situations, never individuals or groups. Listener discretion is advised, and we encourage everyone to approach technology with a sense of humor and an open mind.